So it's no longer just a single day like it used to be in the past. We're now really dealing with Black Friday deal month, essentially.
Yeah, a month. Yes.
November 1st. As soon as that hit, Black Friday was live for them. It's typically not a new customer acquisition time period. You're typically remarketing to these people who have already engaged with your brand before.
Where does the learning happen, Joe? You tell me. The nation wants to know.
You don't have to discredit your product's worth in order to make it more valuable. So like when you're talking about recurring purchase and stuff like that, we're doing a bit of like signal engineering, making sure that we're giving that right data back to Meta so that way it can improve its algorithm, help find our better customers.
This pixel has all the learning. I cannot change the pixel. I cannot add on a pixel.
It's just hungry. It just wants all the data to collect. But specifically when you put it into the campaigns and on the ads, that's where the optimization happens, because you're applying a specific goal to the ad. You're not applying a goal to the pixel.
Hi Joe, good afternoon, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. I think, Joe, for this season, this is our third podcast, and I think we should catch up the trend. And the trend is BFCM, of course, right? So I thought, having worked with you for last 4-5 years with different companies per se, and you're indeed the OG 1PD Ops expert. So Joe handles the growth and optimizing manager currently, and we have known Joe for 2019, 2018 maybe, if I'm not wrong, maybe 2020. Yeah. Since then, handling really huge accounts back to back, and now the account that Joe working is a more complex account, which the use case that they're working on we may have not come across in many accounts and all of that. So I think Joe will have a lot of insights, which I've seen a lot of when I was working for the BFCM trend, the podcast that we're going to do, right? I was looking at a lot other content on YouTube content. I was reading a couple of blogs, and everything was centered for creatives, discounts, bundles, freebies, all those areas mostly was covered. And I've heard a lot of rants around CPMs and all of that. So I thought, okay, let's talk about executionable strategies, which actually when you work on it, you get results out of it, not just theories in air. So I thought we should talk more about it, and you should be the right person to talk about BFCM, because you worked for larger accounts for BFCM trends. So thank you for joining. Thank you for taking time. This is too early for you. So again, I wanted to thank you for this.
No. No, you're all right. But yeah, like you said, many accounts, many experiences with different strategies in relation to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And having been in this industry for over 10 years now myself, I've seen the evolution and shift of how this has changed, how it's come earlier and earlier every year, and just the changes that we need to do to keep up with that.
Yeah. So let's kickstart. First thing I want to ask is, when this Amazon sales or BFCM comes up, there's a prep that happens, right? So when ideally should anybody start the prep? So when should somebody start prepping?
So for ourselves, we really started our prep in early September. And the purpose of that time period was just so that way we could formalize our opinions on what our offer was that we were going to present. Being in the e-com space, you also get a little leg up with the whole Prime days, everything of that nature. So that way you can sort of do a little bit of testing ahead of time, see what products or offers your clients are interested in. But that's when we start sort of formalizing all of that. And then typically we have our offers locked in by end of September. And then that starts our runway into collecting and building assets, all the copy for creatives, VSLs, landing page, image assets, structuring the pages, upsell flows, tracking, and it all sort of goes step by step. And I think the important thing to remember is to really take it in that approach. Don't try to just shotgun blast do it all at the same time, because it doesn't necessarily matter if you don't do it in order, because no point setting up tracking if you don't have a page established. Like, how are you going to track anything? Or, not having the offer created and working on upsell flows for that matter. So, we start A little bit early, and then typically we have everything wrapped up and tested, done all of our test purchases, everything by the beginning of November, simply because a lot of brands are pushing that Friday, Cyber Monday early. I believe like what was
Yeah.
it, like Netflix, or not Netflix, HP and stuff like that. Dell even started pushing some of their sales live November 1st. As soon as that hit, Black Friday was live for them. So it's no longer just a single day like it used to be in the past. We're now really dealing with Black Friday deal month,
Yeah,
essentially.
a month. Yes, yes, yes. And then follow it comes New Year, etc., etc., etc.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Through your answer, what is any checklist that I need to check, right? So this before I am starting prepping. Maybe the first, like you said, first week of November when I'm beginning BFCM thing. What needs to be checked? What's the checklist?
Yep. So I mean, the first thing for us, like I said, is offer. Like, what are the products in it? What is your pricing, your discount, your incentive, really? And I think the important thing to remember with that is that in order to create an offer and make it incentivized, you do not have to offer a lower price. That was the believed adage for a very long time is, oh, we'll just apply 20-30%. But as you had mentioned earlier, when said you were doing your research, like a lot of it now is more shifting towards gifts or bundling, really value stacking in the sense that you don't have to discredit your product's worth in order to make it more valuable. So adding in whether it's an additional shaker bottle, a spoon, a free guide, an additional bottle of a product for that matter, just giving your customers more value. Because I think the other thing that's important to remember with Black Friday, Cyber Monday is it's typically not a new customer acquisition time period. You're typically remarketing to these people who have already engaged with your brand before and who have maybe used your product in the past, and you're just trying to incentivize them to continue with it. So, yeah, just formulating that offer is step one.
Yeah.
Then from there, once you have that nailed down, figure out your mechanism or your angle that you're going to push to make that a little bit more unique and stand out. What is your messaging going to be? Everyone's doing, Black Friday deal, so make it a little bit more special. Add some excitement, some pizzazz behind it. Maybe it's a named bundle or something of that nature.
Mhm.
After that's completed, really begins to go for us into the copy stage, because for us, we're typically driving traffic to a dedicated landing page as opposed to straight to a PDP inside of an ecosystem, a Shopify type ecosystem.
Mhm.
So it could be just a pre-sale lander where, headline, banner image, and then go into the content. So with that, really just laying out that copy and then going into the wireframing and establishments of that page. So that way you begin to understand what it's going to look like for that customer journey. Always keeping in mind mobile optimization, designing it first, mobile first, and then adapting to desktop and tablet. Don't forget tablet. There is some good traffic there that most people don't utilize.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's just progressing forward with establishing your tracking. Luckily for us, utilizing CustomerLabs and Shopify, it's incredibly simple for us to establish our accurate tracking throughout. So that's an easy box to check off for us, something that we don't have to lose any sleep over. And then the last thing really is I believe in testing through real purchases. And what I mean by that is send yourself a preview link for your ad to your phone, to your desktop, pull out your real credit card and go through that process. Because there have been times where if you do it in sandbox or in testing, it works perfectly. Then, time comes to go live and your customers are like, what's going on? Why isn't this working?
Yeah.
But it gives you a real sense of what's going on. And because, like I said, early November, we typically do a true Black Friday where it's like a few short days a week in total length. So we don't do the full month.
Mhm.
But if we finalize everything by November, if anything changes, we still have time to adjust before that date comes. So I would say that that's sort of our checklist, if you will, that we go through, or our process in order to get these things live.
Absolutely. Great. So again, there's a lot of things in the checklist which we can go deep in, but we have a time restriction. We pick few important things. Which we can discuss on. So first thing, let me pick on the tracking part. So when it comes to basically D2C commerce brands and all of that, you have multiple systems, right? So let's say there's in a Shopify, there's a website, then there is a PO system, or maybe there is, if a subscription business, there is a recharge. There's a lot of system integrated. So let's say I am going to connect everything, and I wanted to send the feedback loop to Meta. That I have had recurring purchases, or I want to get more recurring purchases. How do you get this tracking set? I think the current the account that you were for the Barton, I think the setup is more complex than what I'm saying. So how do you get that intact?
So, firstly, like when you're talking about recurring purchase and stuff like that, we're doing a bit of like signal engineering, making sure that we're giving that right data back to Meta so that way it can improve its algorithm, help find our better cost customers, as well as have impact on our CPMs, like you were mentioning as well. But the benefit of CustomerLabs really is the fact that it is a centralized source for all of our data. And how I've sort of used as a metaphor really to explain it to people in this, even in the space that may not understand it. To me, it's really like a centralized Google Tag Manager or air traffic controller, if you will. You place that code on your site, and it's really simply just usually just a line of code or creating a webhook, and we'll get to those in a second. But once that triggers, that fires the events, it logs the customer profile so that way we can then unify the data across multiple sessions. And what it does is once it's collected, we integrate different destinations such as Google, Meta, TikTok, BigQuery, Bing. You guys just came out with Reddit as well, so I'm excited to look into that and see use cases. But there is quite an extensive list of integrations that you have, and those are the areas that the air traffic controller, if you will, pushes that data to. Now, sometimes we'll get a random plane coming in later or something like that, or it's return visit. That's our subscriptions, which is for us, we utilize Loop. We've used Recharge on other brands in the past, and you're simply just setting up a webhook that when it happens in the system, it fires that over to CustomerLabs. Then CustomerLabs can associate that with a custom special event. Typically, it's a differently named event, so that way you can identify if someone is a first-time customer on subscription, if they're recurring, and depending on how advanced you want, you can bill it out so that way you can say, I'm going to fire a specific event for first time, second time, third time, fourth time. Like really, truthfully, with CustomerLabs, the sky is the limit in terms of how much data you can send. But the benefit of that, of sending that through that way, is you can then see that entire customer journey. Like if there's ever a time that I'm wanting to troubleshoot our data or dig into our data, I can go look up a customer profile by finding them via email, ID, phone number, anything of those natures, and I can see their profile, how they interacted with all of our pages, what the sources were, what events they fired, what the timestamps were to know when it happened. So it is really that controlling unit. And as you said, for Barton, it's a little more complex than that, simply because at Barton, we really have a few different verticals. We actually have 3 CustomerLabs accounts. That's how invested we are. So we have one for direct response, one for e-com, and then another for affiliate marketing. And specifically, the most advanced build out, I would say, is in the direct response space. We have several pixels for all of this traffic. So each of our products has a unique sort of angle to it. They're not necessarily all directly connected. So we have, I believe it's 5 different Meta pixels connected, like 5 different Google pixels, all inside of one account. And it takes a little bit of fine tuning in order to get those work. But once all that data is coming into one area, it makes it really easy to just pass out.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is for Barton, especially for that account, you've connected 5 pixels for Facebook, 5 pixels for Google, 5 pixels, and sending different data from the one space to the 10 pixels.
Ex-
Exactly.
Exactly. And each of those can have different events, like we talked about, that first recurring. Like we can fire the standardized pixel information, your purchase, your page views, and stuff like that. So that way, Meta gets that basic information, which doesn't allow it to really grow all that well. I mean, that's sort of like the old style, if you will, of algorithm
Yes.
hacking, essentially.
Yes.
But we even do stuff where it's like product specific purchase events,
Mm.
and pass that along. Or other use cases in the past have been high, mid, low AOV, high intent event fires, because not every page view is the same. So
Yeah.
it is really quite, like I said, the sky's the limit, and whatever you're thinking through a process, you
Yeah.
can really test it utilizing CustomerLabs data.
I think we stepped upon signal engineering. I think we should talk about signal engineering quite a bit. The reason being, I think we have been we didn't use the word signal engineering maybe a few years ago, but we have been doing the signal engineering only for different accounts in different ways. I remember there was a coffee brand account which you were working, and
Rise.
Rise. And for that, again, we had a different custom events for them also, based on the product and based on the new customer and repeat customer. And there was also even which I have seen with other accounts, we have this new and repeat. What happens is each campaign will have different optimization goals, right? So campaign A is for a category, campaign B is for another category, campaign C is another category, and the each three category it's itself an algorithm. So I
Yes.
set up the optimization goal is for my shoe purchase, and the creators of a shoe, the copies of a shoe, and no other campaign would target the same audience, will have the same creators, will have the same optimization goal. No. So every campaign is being distinctive from each other, so there is no campaign cannibalization, nothing, a pure signal engineering. And the signal engineering applies for every campaign, and the campaign goes, okay, let me only go find more people who buy shoes. Campaign B, let me go find people who buy kids products, probably.
Yep.
So that's how. So do you want to step upon any use case for, certainly for signal engineering, that you have done, or how did it work? How did you set up the campaign? Maybe people who are listening, if they want to take few steps on how to set up the campaign, probably the nuances, you can just share across.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to signal engineering, for me, it's like really, like I talked about, creating those custom events along the path. It's a way to understand customer engagement throughout that journey. And as you said, you can utilize those as specific campaign goals for your advertisement. So for us, for example, we're not only setting up those different front end purchase events, the buy product, like you were saying, kids shoes, women's shoes, red shoes, who knows, sort of thing, whatever you really want to target for. We do that with our individual products, but we also then do that on the back end as well for our upsells, because you can easily logically infer that if someone is firing an upsell event, they have had to made that front end purchase, so they're therefore going to be a higher AOV customer as well. And we can then, as you said, push that into our campaigns as our campaign target. No longer are we interested in just the purchase, because that's the stage one. We're really now going beyond that and saying, how do we get people in stage 2, stage 3, to be our algorithm's point of contact that it's driving towards. So for us, we set up those events along the entirety of the journey, front end specific depending on the products, and then upsell specific as well, secondary events in that matter.
That's typically like old playbook versus new playbook. So old playbook is like optimizing for the purchase event by default and expecting to get more shoes, more
specific to one particular category. And I mean, that is the big difference, because I mean, you and I are different. Me and the person over there, Joe Schmo, are different, sort of a thing. And we have different buying behaviors, different products that resonate, different price points, everything. So if you're able to really target and narrow in your ads to that person. It feels more personable to the individual on the platform. Like that's the biggest thing nowadays, is making sure your ads don't just read as an ad. You want it to connect and engage with the viewer, the customer, so that way they resonate with that more. They're more likely then to click and continue along the journey, and even, making sure that that stage beyond that connects with them. Not just your ads, but the pages themselves, and sending the right people to the right pages at the right time.
Yeah. Also, just when we talk signal engineering, I remember the conversation that we had yesterday, right? Where does the learning happen in an ad account, right? So, when we were doing the competitor analysis, when we were working with clients, and they say the pixel has all the learning, the pixel I'm using for like years, this pixel has all the learning. I cannot change the pixel. I cannot have add on a pixel. That's again, where does the learning happen, Joe? You tell me. The nation wants to know.
So it'll happen in the individual campaigns, especially when you're doing these like signal engineerings, because like we said, remember, each conversion event can be for a different purpose or a different person. How I like to think of it, think of your pixel as the database. It is all of that data collected. It's not necessarily breaking it out and, making it better or anything like that. It's just hungry. It just wants all the data to collect. But specifically when you put it into the campaigns and on the ads, that's where the optimization happens, because you're applying a specific goal to the ad. You're not applying a goal to the pixel.
Yeah.
The only goal of the pixel is to collect data. I mean, think of Meta, for example. What if you're asking me where the learning takes place? Why do our ads go into learning mode inside of Meta itself? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there in front of us, but we're trained in the old logic of thinking for the longest time.
Yeah.
And even now, like as we advance into like Andromeda and stuff like that, even some of that is changing even more. Like traditional tracking in that sense is changing, and now creative is becoming king again as well. So
Yes.
making sure that you have the creative to associate with the right conversion event and stringing that all together is massively important. But like you said, like the learning happens in the campaigns, especially. Like I said, right there, learning mode. There's point blank example.
Yes, that's amazing. That I've never thought of that learning, but that answers the question like a blink.
Yeah. Like swat it away like a fly sort of a thing. It was an easy one.
Exactly. Now, secondly, I wanted to step upon the CPMs part, right? So, like earlier, you were talking, BFCM is for getting all those guys who came to the website but did not purchase. Reason could be many. They thought the product was expensive. Maybe they were waiting actually for an offer or something. Maybe they were waiting for BFCM to happen so that you get the bundles and I can purchase. So, of course, BFCM is for people who already know us but did not purchase in the past. So it is about retargeting. So how would you strategize your retargeting campaigns? How would you structure it, or what is your thought process?
So the thought process behind that really is, I mean, there's a couple actually different methods that are utilized. One is preemptive Black Friday list creations, like your standard opt-ins that people utilize. That's point blank simple. It's people telling you already, I'm interested. I'm not going to buy until you tell me it's Black Friday, but then I'll jump in and buy.
Yeah.
So that's stage one. The other thing, like you said, for people who are interested but not ready to jump right now, like this time period in particular and last month are difficult times. People are waiting. They are holding off because they know Black Friday is coming. So they will peruse your site. And that's where that signal engineering comes in, and like, okay, what events are they triggering? How can I categorize these people and remember, and then cluster and group them together? So audience lists.
Yes.
So utilizing the events inside of CustomerLabs to build specific lists around that. Higher intent. Has someone triggered 4 different add to cart or 4 different add to cart events? Have they triggered like 3 page view events and like dove through the content on your different products? Clearly they're interested in the product. Are they coming back? So clustering those individuals into an audience and then pushing that audience to your marketing platform. A benefit of CustomerLabs is the fact that they have a 180-day retention. Well, why am I saying they? You have a 180-day retention window on audiences, where typically it's only about 28 days. So imagine if you're a consumable product. For that, and by I mean supplement or candy snack. Typically, you're selling stuff in 30-day windows, right? 30-day containers, essentially.
Yes.
So someone clicks on your ads, they purchase. It takes 4 or 5 days for them to get the product. Then it takes 30 days for them to finish using the product. Oops, sorry, you're out of that time window for that audience. Now, why do audiences matter in relation to all of this, even beyond Black Friday, Cyber Monday? You'd mentioned it earlier, CPMs are rising. Like, there's only so much advertising space on these platforms, and truthfully, with the AI coming in and it lowering the cost of barrier to entry, there are more marketers jumping into the pool now. So therefore, we have to bid higher to get those impressions. Well, the easiest way to get that down is, well, don't make Meta do as much work. Give it the list and say, here are the people that I want to target. These are the click IDs, the Facebook click IDs for the people who've interacted with me in the past. These are the unified profiles of customers who have done these specific events. These are the people that I want to go after. So on the Black Friday side, like I said, like, who's engaged the most with your page? Who's been to that add to cart step and then left multiple times, not even just a single time? Because how often, I mean, I'm guilty. I hardly never buy on my phone. I'm always the type where I'll click on an ad, look at it, scroll, and then I'm like, add to cart, look at it, and then I'll abandon. And if I do want to purchase, I'll come back on the computer, sort of a thing. So multi-device. But those people who engage multiple times, adding to cart, add to cart, leave, add to cart, leave, they're such high interest. They're just waiting for that excuse to give your product a try.
We have recently also, we are prepping like similar other accounts, right? Who are prepping for BFCM. We have created a lot of audiences based on, I think, categories. The whole category lots itself, like 180 days who have done product viewed, their view content is done, but they have not purchased. Added to cart is done, not purchased. So those are the particular product-wise category audiences that we have created for retargeting. And they have also done something like they have clubbed all the accessories that they have. Like they are doing a retention campaign for the purchases already. So the people who have bought. So for one of the accounts who sells these mattresses and all of that, right? So they are now cross-selling with other accessories around the mattress. It could be
There's a pillow, a blanket, a sheet, something of that nature.
Exactly. So they do this omnichannel one where they do a WhatsApp push notifications, they do email notifications, they do again ads as well. So again, for those guys with the cross-sell and upsell of the based on the past purchase history. That was again a cooler flow that they had of how to target these users. That was very cool. They had full big Canva, and they was like, this goes here, this goes to WhatsApp.
It looks like a mad scientist map, right? Like, or a crime scene where it's like, here's the center and a string going to this pin and a string over to that pin.
Yeah. So that was again very cooler. So again, about coming to the Facebook part, right? So the audiences. So even in our previous podcast, we were talking extensively about these audiences and all of that. And what we also saw across our clients is that in Facebook, there's an option. I think last 2 years we have this advertising settings where we can add these audiences into buckets and measure which audience is in spent also. So then we realize there's the biggest misconception of who is these existing customers, who is this engaged audiences, and these audiences are not bucketed properly. Usually what we see is like the customers list is being added to engaged audience, but engaged audience is purely somebody who is not purchased at all. So that definitions are also very important whenever I am trying to set up a campaign or running a campaign also, right? But let's say, for example, I'm going to run a new customer acquisition campaign and I add all my customers in the engaged audience. And where is it going to happen? So anyway, those are the discussions that we had when it comes to audience. That's one. I think that's again when we are ready for retargeting campaigns, we have to do these definitions rightly, right? So we
Yes.
have to have these definitions rightly. Who are all my non-purchases? Add them to engaged.
And it makes it, like you said, it makes measurability just that much clearer, not necessarily in customer lab side of things, but also in the
Yeah.
platform that you're advertising.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes.
people, and let's be honest, that's where most media buyers are spending 99.9% of their time anyways. So if you're giving them the tool and that information right there so they can see what's happening, yeah, why
Yeah.
not make it as easy as possible?
Absolutely. So that's something this over and over. I think the every podcast we talk about that because that much of obsession that we have. Why do you add your customers to engaged audience and all of that? Okay, now coming to a few interesting things. I think these are real cheat sheets. Tell me. For the marketers whoever is watching, right? What are the AI tools that they can have? Now everything is AI. We all live for emails. We rely on chat GPTs. So what are
Yeah.
the other AI tools that we can use so that makes our life easier? So pertaining to BFCM or otherwise.
Yeah. So truthfully, like you mentioned one, like obviously everyone knows ChatGPT. I actually use it quite a bit. I use it as a thinking partner, if you will, to really try to expand the main like focused view that I'll have on a project. The important thing to remember is that it is very agreeable. It's usually going to be, oh, that was a great idea, or that's a great question, Joe. It wants to boost your ego a bit, I feel like. So giving it permission to question and setting up those loops to be like, all right, let's discuss this, back and forth until we can come to a reasonable answer. Other tools that I find myself using quite a bit is like really look in the platforms that you're already in. Everybody has adapted AI in some way, shape, or form. So if you can familiarize yourself with those tools that are already existed and tailored for the programs that you're using at no additional cost, that's usually a really good starting point. Like we do a lot of stuff in Shopify. So simply just pulling up Shopify Sidekick, it's the little like masked guy in the top right corner
Yeah.
of your screen that most people don't even know is there. Like if you're trying to figure out a data point, instead of having to worry about writing the SQL out, you can
Hmm.
just ask it and walk through it, prompt engineering the process, and it'll spit out the data. I want to know how many people from the source of Meta have bought this product versus this product, or have bundled these two together, or are taking this action or viewing this page. Like it's really easy to dive into that. Even recommendations for the platform. You do not know what you don't know, right? So asking the AI like, how can I make this recurring product? Like, what are the applications I should be looking at that work with you?
Yeah.
Is a really good use case. That I'd say like that's my biggest sort of like takeaway is like lean into the ones that you have. And then I was actually at a company meeting the other day and we were talking about it. The term AI, like it's just been sort of shifted. Like the algorithm has been around for how long, and we've all been talking about the algorithm. What do we think the algorithm really is? It's just learning, machine learning. So
Yeah.
um, it's
Cool.
we've been exposed to it for a very long time. Just now, it's a buzzword, if you will, that everyone's coining.
Yeah, cool. Next thing that I want to ask is maybe we'll have to wrap it. But tell me this: it's 2025, and I think this is your 10th BFCM, probably. What are the things that you'll say these are the myths? Just don't follow all these things. It's an old
Yeah.
playbook. Go to the new playbook. What are the few things that you'd say? This is old, old, old. This is new, new, new.
Yep. So, I mean, I kind of mentioned one of them earlier, and it was that you have to discount your products on Black Friday, Cyber Monday in order to make it effective. You don't. It's adding more value. Add those free gifts, if you will. Add additional digital content, like back in the old days of info products, selling ebooks and stuff like that. There still is merit and value to an ebook. It's not a $97 offer anymore, but if you're adding it on for free to anyone who purchased. So A supplement, great. How do I use it? Here's a ebook on, how to incorporate into your daily life. Here's some workouts to go with a fitness supplement. Here's a weight loss plan. Here's a digital tracker or a printable sheet that you can do for counting and tracking your blood sugar. Like just these little things that are going to make the customer's life that much easier and integrate your product into their life. I think that's the big key is
Yes.
it can't just be stuff. Nobody just wants stuff. They want something that's going to be useful. And better yet for us, if it's something that helps them use your product more often, great. You're going to get a longer term customer out of that. The other one too, especially around Black Friday time, don't just worry about your conversion rate. Conversion rate is a factor of it. At the end of the day, all businesses operate on revenue. So really, for me, especially in the CRO space, shifting that focus away from conversion rate and looking at revenue per visitor or EPC, like how much am I earning from that engagement? Because with testing, anything you do upstream affects downstream. So you may get a huge conversion lift on the front end, but then your average order value plummeted 40% as a result of that. And here you are over, celebrating, but in reality, you're losing more money now, sort of a thing. So looking at it from that sort of end goal concept. And then I don't know that this is necessarily new, but really data, like first party data, getting that information and just collecting it is the new currency. It's what we use to, as we talked about, optimize our ads, make those better, get more people through. It's how we learn about our customers. Every decision that they make, if we're tracking through our funnel, we can use that to inform, okay, do they like this product? Is there something they don't like about it? How does that inform the next product that we're coming out with? Is it a better version of this, or is this clearly not a vertical that our active customers are interested in? So sort of shifting around the data to just interpret it. And once again, you have ChatGPT now, feeding that in there to help us analyze faster and give opinions. But note, it's not always right, but just use it as a second thought process, a second set of eyes, if you will, is a good way.
Yeah, that very nice line. I just got a nice line for the whole show. First party data is a new currency. That's the cooler one. I just got the slogan.
I mean, it's true. Data is king. And if you look at like big companies, even like Tesla, they're a data company. Amazon is a data company. They're not cars or products. It's consumer data. I mean, even Amazon purchased Roomba. So now not only do they know what you buy on their site, they know the layout of your home and the where that product is going to go in your house. So it's like, oh, this person has 4 bathrooms in their house. Okay, let's recommend, this product of 3 new shower curtains or stuff of that nature. So it really is quite interesting when you think of it through that sort of lens.
Just adding one more point to it. When we say first party data, they shouldn't think, or nobody should think it is about the name, email ID, and the zero party.
No.
Basically. So that we are definitely, that's not the only thing that we are saying when we are talking about first party data, right? Anybody who's on your website.
Yep.
Is your
I mean, it's all valuable. And going back to the audiences, like we were talking, like a page view, everyone fires a page view on, hopefully, if you've set it up right, on every page of your journey, but knowing how many times they trigger it in relation to those other events to create that audience, taking that first party data information and feeding it back to the whole data set of the pixel, right? So that the conglomerate of it can learn and pass that to the campaign, so that way the campaigns can optimize and go through the learning phase. That's really, and unification. I think that's the bigger one that we didn't really say in this section, is like so many tools out there will collect a lot of data, but if I'm jumping around device to device, you now have 4 different profiles of Joe, and which one is the real one that you want to market to, as opposed to combining them all together and say, this is me, this is my entire engagement. And CustomerLabs allows us to see not just that interaction, but really quite a long period of time going back and seeing each individual step of the process.
Basically, ID resolution, like resolving who's Joe. That is
Yep.
Joe. Who came from Recharge? Who came from Meta? This is Joe again. This is who came from Google Ads. This is Joe again.
Here's his 4 like different emails that he used along the time and stuff like that. We can see, okay, it connects here, here, and here. So it's
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
person.
Yeah. Finally, one more thing, Joe. Which platform are you going to bet more on? It's Meta, it's
Uh,
Google, TikTok. I don't know.
I mean, it's all up in the air right now. There's a lot going on. Obviously, Meta is a lot more expensive. The benefit of Google is the higher intent, usually higher conversion rates. I don't think that I would like to challenge people not to necessarily pick one. You do have to be like omni-channel because there is also a halo effect that occurs. Like just the other day, we were tracking it on our Amazon revenue for one of our products. We have
Yeah.
done 0 advertising whatsoever for this product through Amazon. We've
Yeah.
done extensive recent advertising for it on Meta. All of a sudden, you see a 400% increase in purchases on Amazon.
Mm.
Customers shop around. They'll see your ad, they'll click on that data, and then they may go buy it on Amazon. So they're going from Google. I mean, I do it all the time. Like I mentioned earlier, I look at the ad, then I go to my computer. I
Yeah.
Google what are the benefits of this product. So I don't think that I really don't think there's a single channel you should bet on. I think that it's making each individual channel a viable option on its own, but knowing that they all complement each other.
Uh-huh. Got it. It's not like, okay, I'm not going to go for TikTok this time because what and what, all these things. I've seen this also a lot. So don't spend on that, spend more on this. Those logics was also around. So I thought when we're talking about the myths, I think we should definitely address the platforms also.
Yeah, I mean, they're widespread, and obviously the big new exciting one is really in relation to LLMs, ChatGPT, when they start monetizing that. So, I mean, some of the big searches right now are how can I get my products to show up more frequently in those platforms, and diving into the content side of things, and like SEO is making a comeback in that regard. So, just
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. I think we touched so many nerves. I think we picked which one and went deeper more. Maybe yeah, Joe. Thank you so much for taking your time.
You have a wonderful rest of your evening. All right.
Thank you so much. Same to you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye now.